All right, everybody. Welcome to the third installment of Booggie Broadcast. Today's extremely special guest, someone close to my heart, and it might grow close to yours. Someone you may not be too familiar with. McCormick, everybody. Here he is. Yeah, man. Thanks for attaching yourself to my day.
Man, I'm glad to be here. It's first time I've been here.
First time. Mm-hmm. It's the first time for everything. So peculiar day for us, but man, we got a lot of good stuff going. Got some new things going on, but it's going to be a good show. My guy. Yes. Okay. First things first.
I'm the realist.
You're the realist. Yeah. Third episode, and this one we're just going to kind of like. The last one was pretty serious. The first one was like, hunky-dory. But hey, look, man, we're just trying to figure out what everybody wants, and we're just here to have a good time.
Yep.
Hey, so this Booggie Broadcast, this thing that I'm doing, I don't want it to define, I'm not looking to define myself, but I think defining yourself is a good thing. What do you think about how do you define yourself? Is it a mixture of things, or do you think it's more like I'm doing this podcast? Do you think that people should look at people who do, like in Hollywood and in movies and in things? Do you think people should be defining people by the things that they do, or should they be defined by the intimacy of a friendship or relationship and things like that? Not to say that that's your only two options. But
I think defining yourself for me is finding ways to express yourself and figure out that that everybody's different. Everybody has their own way. I know I have my own way, and I think finding different ways to express yourself in whatever way that may be, you look at someone else who expresses themselves the same way. That way, you can kind of see. It just kind of opens your mind, having an open mind, and just learning who you are and how you. I mean, that's deep, man. Because I don't think anybody's ever been able to fully figure out who they are.
Well, and if you're expressing yourself and someone defines you by the way you express yourself, I mean, people go to gun ranges all the time and just unload magazines and clips and rounds into targets and as if they were not really like shooting someone, but would that be a way for someone who disagrees with guns to define the person shooting the gun, or someone who loves to destroy something? So the way that they express themselves is like at Burning Man, when they build those huge wooden statues and then they burn them down. I mean, is that expressing yourself, defining yourself? It's kind of a thin line for me, because I have a big issue with people who just like start knocking someone for what they do, because the person judging right there is defining themselves as their judgmental person. Versus the person that they're judging, they're defining the person that they're judging because they disagree with him. So defining yourself not necessarily is agreeing or disagreeing with somebody. I think defining yourself really only needs to be beneficial to yourself.
Well, yeah, no, it's personal, man. That's intimate to me. I think that's intimate to yourself and finding out what do I care about? What do I strive for? What are my goals? What are my ambitions? What do I do to better my character and to better my well-being? Or when you're in here's another thing. When you're in that time in your life where it's your dark times, I think that, man, that's it. That's where you really find out who you are, and that's where you really define who you are as a person. Not being able to, maybe you're in something. Depression is a good example where you're in a slump, and I've been there, so I understand that you're somewhere where you feel like you can't get out of, and no one can tell you different. But when you're at rock bottom, I think you realize, like, man, I have nowhere else to go. I don't have anything else to do. Who am I? And that's when you really start focusing on who you are. And then if you keep digging down and you keep digging deeper into that depressive state, I feel like that doesn't define you. I feel like if you're at that point where you're like, okay, I got it, the only way's up from here. And that's when you start learning who you are. That's when you start defining who you are personally within your own mind. But as far as
I think defining yourself is more important to your own self.
yeah, well, I mean, because everybody's going to try to define you.
Everyone has their own opinions.
It's not define, it's judging. It's
yeah, they develop their own opinions. You're right, man. Going into a dark place really helps you set the pace for your temperance, for your wisdom. Helps you. It's a learning curve. Any storm is a big learning curve, though, or a big learning experience, I should say. You know, like you talk about sometimes being in a season, how to get yourself in and out of a season.
Yeah,
I think is good. You know, and the last time, like last thing we talked about on the last podcast was parents, how their teachings help. You know, there's also a bad side to this. I think a lot of people's parents. We'll jump into the extreme part first. A lot of people's parents are drug addicts, alcoholics. Sleep around on their mom, or they're sleep around on their dad, or or they're never home. They lock their kids out of the house. You know, they're strung out, or they're gone for days at a time. You know, some people have really bad influences by their parents, and what they do with those influences will shape them, will define them. And I think also, though, on the flip side, some parents may be too involved, and in being that involved in their child's life, they're trying to shape their child and define their child themselves. You cannot define someone. You, Sai, cannot define someone in them true selves. If a parent raises a child to be a great basketball player, but that kid has a passion for piano, come to find out, he's amazing at piano and he's okay at basketball.
yeah,
But that parent does not let that child play the piano because that parent wants to relive themselves in the child to play basketball, to live the glory days that the parent may or may not have ever got to do.
Yeah.
And so that to me is also as toxic as a parent. Now, not to say that the parent does not love their child as the drug addict or, you know, whoever, but that is just as bad in a sense of that child or that person trying to define themselves. You're holding them back from being their true selves.
yeah,
You know, you could be sitting on the next Beethoven or Tchaikovsky, and you're trying to make a LeBron or a Michael Jordan of some sort, you know, and you're just not. You can't do that. At the end of the day, that child or that kid is going to be able to define themselves, and he's going to be able to do it on his own.
Well, you look at yourself. I mean, you were a child once. I was a child once, and whoever's watching, you guys.
Hey, I hate to break it to you all, but you guys were pushing some diapers. You hear me?
You guys were bringing on the poop train.
You know, they were squeezing some Capri Suns back in the day.
That's right. Some of them ones with the twist tops, and you
Kool-Aid, baby boy.
Yeah, and you just. I think that, you know, and this brings up another topic that I don't know if I want to transition. I don't know if this is how. The way that parents raise their kids is really, man, is really just how they are. They I mean, some people overcome it. Some people go through difficult times, and I know people that have been down some rough roads, man. Real deal stuff. And they've come out on top. They're successful. They're doing great. But there's also some parents that from the get, man, they're just their kids are so. I guess their kids are like guess all kids are like a sponge, you know.
Yeah, they all are.
They just suck it up.
A good friend of mine's kid will repeat every word you said in a 5-minute conversation on one side, and then repeat the rebuttal on the other side. I mean, it's almost like that. Like you're saying, they're sponges, and they're verbatim. Like they're so good at repeating things to the T, you know. And I guess where you're trying to get at is, you know, if a parent does something, acts a certain way, the kid could probably do the same thing. in the same form for the same amount of time. You know, if a parent never comes out of something, maybe the kid will never come out of it. But at the end of the day, I still think it's an influencing thing. It's not necessarily the parent or the doing the thing. It's actually the child or the person. And same thing with friends, man. Same thing with friends. Same thing with coworkers. You know, and especially in the military, where you develop a brotherhood and you're so well tightly knit together, you guys start acting the same. You guys start feeding off of each other, you know? And it's like the Crow and the Mockingbird story, where the guy was tired of hearing the crow sing ugly songs, so he captured it, put it in a cage with the mockingbird. Hopefully the mockingbird's singing would affect the crow, but the mockingbird just sounded like the crow. You know, it's whoever has the strongest pull, you know, that's what's gonna happen. I think it also has to do with where people are. Developing yourself and defining yourself has to do with where you're from, and maybe even what race you are. You know, some people have stigmas attached to them. You know, it still exists in the South for sure, and a lot of up north too. If you've ever been down to New Orleans, everyone just knows the beauty of New Orleans. That maybe just see it by pictures and stuff, or maybe they just know it by Katrina or something. But it's such a poverty-stricken place, and it's not attached. It's not attached to race, but it's attached to just generation after generation of non-improvement, non-self-awareness. You know, but a lot of good has come out of it. A lot of famous people have come out of there. A lot of successful people. A lot of tycoons, you know.
There's some talent there, man.
Man, there's so much talent down there. But that's a person defining themselves.
Yep.
They're not defining themselves by the position that they're in. They're defining themselves by the person that is within.
I'm with it, man. That's true.
So true.
And you know what? You brought up race. This one's gonna...
Don't hurt yourself now.
This one's gonna spark some brains over there down at the
down under,
down at the Facebook, or the YouTube, or the Spotify, or the Apple podcast.
Yes.
What's up?
Yeah, we're on Apple, we're on SoundCloud, we're on Spotify, we're on Google Play, we're on YouTube, and we'll be on Facebook.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. Really am.
You're gonna do great things, brother.
Hoorah!
Hoorah! I have so many friends right now that are probably like...
They're probably like, oh my gosh.
This guy.
Yeah, this guy.
But back to parents and how you're raised, man, I think that's where racism comes from. From parents or people that are stuck on something, and it's passed down from generation to generation to generation.
That's so true.
And I'm not talking about, and I'm gonna get real here, and I'm not talking about blacks versus whites, right?
That's what everyone thinks of when you say racism.
Yeah, blacks versus whites. Now, let me tell you. And people ask this question: does racism exist? Absolutely, it exists. I 100% believe that. Now, racism truly does exist within people. People feel that. People have that hatred towards a certain race, whether it's whites or blacks or Mexicans, or there's probably proper terms for all this, but whatever. But racism is all around the block, you know, from one person to the other. But man, is it okay? Well, here's another question: is it stereotype? Do you think it's a stereotype for those people over the years? And so if you see someone that is someone, man, I'm trying to be careful with what I say. I really am.
Well, that's one big thing about racism, is that most people who aren't careful are the ones who are doing the most bad. But it's not. This is the thing. If you're careful with what you say, that's a good thing. That's wise. That's wisdom. And that's discernment. You have to have good discernment about yourself. But if you're trying so hard not to offend somebody, that's something totally different, man. That's totally different than just having good discernment. If somebody has a bump on their neck, don't acknowledge it. If someone has a skin disorder, don't acknowledge it. That's good discernment. If someone obviously was affected by racism and has a scar by it, no, maybe not. Maybe don't talk about it with them. Maybe that's what it is, Si. And I think it was Denzel Washington that said this. How do you? No, it wasn't. It wasn't Denzel Washington. It was Morgan Freeman. There's an interview clip with him, and we'll probably play that too. But he said, "How do you fix racism?" He said, "Stop talking about it." And is he wrong or right? Who's to say? There's no definite answer to that. There's no cure to it either, because we all have a sin nature. We all have something deep inside of us that drives us to think about the crazy things. We were driving. Here's a get real quick. When you're driving down the road and you cross over a bridge, how many times have you imagined driving off of it? How many times have you imagined, what if I don't let up off the gas and I just, run these train tracks, or I know a train's coming, or you just think of these crazy things. And some people don't have that filter. So when we're talking about racism, you're talking about maybe some guy so proud of his German heritage, and because he's so stuck on itself, on the heritage, and so he's so stuck on himself, he just wants to prove himself or be something better. And normally that's all racism is. That's someone wanting to be better than someone else. We're all equal. All of us, all men are created equal with equal opportunity. So if you're still stuck on being the victim of racism through generations that you don't even know, you don't even remember. Do you remember your great-great-grandfather's name? Your great-great-great-grandfather's name?
No.
Okay. So if you can't even remember the name of I'm assuming his name was McCormick, one of them. But if you can't even remember, you can't even do that for that person. Remember them. But you were affected by racism because you say, my family, my ancestors, but you only remember their names. How important is that to you, really? How much is that really affecting your life? It still happens. It happens every day. It's happened to the Indians. It's happened to the even the Germans. I'm sure there's some Jews who blame some German guy somewhere for doing something wrong. And he's like, whoa, wait a second. That's not me. That wasn't my people that did that to your people. It's both ways, man. The Vietnamese may still hate a Vietnamese who might be 12 years old, might hate the U.S. because of what we did over there, or vice versa. Someone over here hates the Vietnamese because their great or their grandpa or something fought in Vietnam and died. The cure to racism is forgiveness. And forgiveness is everywhere. Who are you not to forgive somebody? No one's too good for forgiveness. There's not a single person out there that's too good for forgiveness. There's not one cure to racism. Now, racism's not a disease, okay? It's a self-inflicted feeling, okay? It's a self-inflicted feeling. Now, you might have to go travel back and assess yourself and look over yourself. Like, why do I have these feelings? Why do I feel this way? Not to be mistaken for, like, if you see a big group of, some Mexicans coming in the room and they're all thugged out and you're with your mom or you're with your wife or your girlfriend or your little sister and you get defensive, that's not racism. I'd feel the same way if a big group of bodybuilders came in just like looking aggressive, like they're looking for something, looking for trouble. I would feel the need to, okay, where's the exits? If something happens, what am I going to do? And then that's totally different. But racism itself, no, I agree. You shouldn't talk about it, but I don't think you should talk about it in the bad way.
See, now, what you just talked about, I have a coworker. Yes, a coworker of mine. He was telling me about a story of there was his family. Something happened with his family, and they were at the hospital in New Orleans. So they went out to the hospital in New Orleans, and they were walking into the hospital, and there was a bunch of people there of different race, but they, like you said, they were all thugged out. Like they were all like little hype, you know, like they were about that violence, you know.
Yeah, looking for trouble.
Looking for it. But they walked in and they were carrying somebody that got shot, right? This guy needs help. This guy needs help. You know, they're freaking out. So they get him in the emergency room, and this gentleman that I'm talking about, he was with his wife, and his family was there as well. And they started to kind of, okay, things are getting weird, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's a bunch of people in here. They're acting rowdy. So immediately he said, okay, we need to be careful. You know, we just need to be careful.
Yeah.
And once the person that was brought in for the gunshot, I'm sorry, this story is all over the place. The guy that got the gunshot, he died. Okay. In the hospital. Everybody went crazy. People were throwing stuff, and this guy sitting there with his wife, like, whoa. People were throwing stuff. It was berserk, he said. So they had jumped over a counter.
It was a riot. That's a riot.
And it was a lot of people jumped over the counter to protect himself and his wife and try to stay out of it. But that happened. But man, that has nothing to do with race.
Zero.
That's a type of people. That's a man. Those guys' characters were just violent. Man.
That's a tribal thing. That's someone who belongs to a tribe, you know, a gang. They all got each other's backs, whether it's good or bad, and you know that. And racism gets identified with that. The thing about racism, and it's attached to gangs. You know, it's attached to almost every gang. There are a few that allow, you know, different creeds in, but most of it has a stigma attached to it, which is why people are so concerned most of the time when someone's dressed a certain way. Now, judge not, lest ye be judged. So, if you do see someone who's dressed appropriately, that is not the skin tone or doesn't have the facial features that you like, and you get, you know, I can't know whether they're letting them kind in here. Hey, dude, if nothing is affecting you and it's just visual, look the other way. If it's not even, it's a fly on the wall. It's just there. Okay, it's not affecting you. And if something is affecting you, get up, turn the other direction, turn the other cheek, and I think that's what that's always meant. Steer away from trouble, resist yourself from temptation, resist yourself from those thoughts. You know, if you are driving down the road, you think about like driving off the bridge, hey man, put on a happy song, call your wife, something like those weird thoughts. Those could be contained, those could be fixed, you know, and racism can be fixed and contained. You don't have to act that way. If a child is acting out, what do you say? Hey, stop acting like that. Hey, if you're racist, stop acting like that. Just stop. Just come to a halt. You know, there's no reason to feel the way you're feeling if it's just a visual effect. There's no reason for it, you know. I mean, imagine if someone really did do that. Imagine if someone was able to look inside themselves and cure their racism. It'd be a great thing. And they would start a new adventure. They start a new adventure in life. It would be so much more beneficial for a human being to look inside themselves, fix their issues, and start something new. I mean, someone could change the world. And normally, if something was worse and someone made it better, they appreciate the better version of themselves because they, at one point in their life, was a worser version of themselves than where they are now. And that takes a big leap of faith, man. A lot of stuff takes leaps of faith. Not that it really takes a leap of faith. It probably takes a lot of self-reflection, you know. But starting a new adventure in life, man, especially if you're in a worse position, like coming out of prison, starting something new, fixing your old habits, your bad habits, or maybe you had a bad habit and didn't go to prison, but you affected lots of people in your life that you hurt, and you come out of it, and or you reflect on yourself and realize, man, I was a bad person. I was a bad person for other people, and that's what all racism is. It's a bad thing for other people, And it's a bad thing for yourself, for your family, and things like that. But, I mean, someone changing their life for the better, that's fantastic, man. That's awesome. That's so good. It's so good for other people. Other people look at that, we talked about people in New Orleans being successful, rappers who used to be gangbusters or cowboys who used to deal coke. I'm just, making things up, but I mean, it's so much better whenever someone comes out of that and then now they're influential, and they're influential in a good way, and good for them, good for other people, because their story might save another person. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing for many more people than just themselves.
Yeah, I think everybody's got a testimony, and I think that people, the people that use that testimony and that change of lifestyle to help people that are currently in, it doesn't matter. Just seeing somebody that's come out of a dark place, it's pretty awesome. Just to see somebody that has progressed to be the better version of themselves. That makes me really happy to see that.
See, it's contagious.
It is. It's like paying it forward,
Yeah.
You do something good for someone, and most of the time that person feels like they need to do something good for someone else. Even if, it doesn't matter who it is, man. And their subconscious is it's there, and morality is there. And I think no matter who it is, it's in everyone to do the better thing. The problem with to me is when you really mess up, when you really get in that deep valley, it's because you got comfortable with it. It's because you
comfortable with the way you are, your character, yourself.
You do a little bit, and then you say, okay, I'll just do this, and that's it. I'll just do a little bit of whatever it is, and then the next time you do a little bit more, and then you do a little bit more. And then before you know it, you're in a spot where you don't even realize that you're in a place that you never thought you would be, because
you're digging your own grave without knowing it.
You were just testing the waters, and now next thing you know, you're neck deep in a sewage pond.
Yeah, that you made yourself with years of defecation.
Defecation nation.
Yeah, defecation, destination, dedication. Putting yourself in a hole you made yourself and filling it with whatever you want to fill it with, and you're burying yourself alive. It's a good point, man. And look, saying all that stuff, all these, one thing you and I both do is we both put jokes in with serious stuff, maybe to break the tension or something like that. I want to talk about social accidents. Offending someone accidentally, or insulting someone accidentally, I should say. Whether you offend them or not, is it your fault? Is it their fault for them? I don't know. For instance, when people talk and on a serious note, when people talk about suicide and joke about killing themselves and things like that, my little brother took his life. Am I going to let that affect me? No, I'm not trying to. That person does not need to put up a safeguard around me just because I want them to. That person is their own people. Do people still joke like that around me? Yes. Does it bother me? I'm not going to say no because I want to be honest. But I'm not going to say yes either, because that person doesn't have to know that makes me uncomfortable. So if you accidentally insult somebody, where is the moral high ground there? Is it on the person saying it because they were ignorant in knowing, or just decided to say this regardless of thinking about would it offend you or would it insult you? I mean, social accidents happen. That's why they call them accidents. Whenever Liam Neeson was talking about some racial thing not that long ago, and he said a racial thought that he could have had or something, and so many people got offended. That's a social accident. You only got offended because he said something that triggered you. Now, is that his fault? I don't think so. I don't think it's his fault. But is it people's fault for, I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna say it doesn't bother me when people say, "Oh, I should just kill myself." Maybe you should not just say that in general. That's not really a nice thing to say anyway. But is it my place to tell you what to say and what not to say? No, it's not. It's just like it's not your place to tell me what I can and can't talk about on this podcast.
I wouldn't even call it a social accident. I wouldn't even. I mean, some things, yeah. I mean, sometimes you say something that you shouldn't say, not
Like
knowing
you're saying like
that
it
someone deals with.
derogative, like direct.
Yeah,
Like saying, "Dude, your ears are big enough. You could put Dumbo to shame."
yeah,
Like saying something like that.
yeah. I mean that's probably. I mean, no, that's not what I was saying, but no, that's more direct. That's more of a. That definitely wasn't an accident. My thing, kind of what with the Liam Neeson thing, man. That guy was just saying what he thought, man. That guy would just had something on his mind and he said it. You chose to get offended. You chose to get upset at what he said rather than saying, "Okay, I've had thoughts like that before."
Fessing up and being transparent.
You can't tell me that no one can tell me that they have the people that spit out racism and say, "Oh, you're racist. Oh, you're this. Oh, you're that." The people that are judgmental are the people that are doing the judging. Man, those are the people that are. I said that wrong. The people that are bashing other people for what they say. You can't tell me that those people didn't have those same thoughts.
Yeah.
Their mind's in the gutter, man. Just like if I said something and it was a joke or it was just something and you took it the wrong way and you thought it was dirty. Oh man, that's perverted. You shouldn't say stuff like that. Well, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. That wasn't where my heart was at when I said that.
It's a fabricated story on the receiving end.
So what's wrong with your mind? Not what's wrong with my mind. What's wrong with yours? Why did you take what I said and portray it the way that it wasn't even supposed to be portrayed?
When they're fabricating a story on the receiving end, they're making up their own outcome,
and that bothers me. That bothers me when people do that because I know that you think things. You people have, dude. We have a natural thing inside of us that think thoughts that we probably shouldn't think, and then some of us are really strong-minded. We can say, you know what, I don't think that. I refuse to think that, and they can blank it out. But the thought came to your head. The temptation to go down that rabbit trail for that thought or that racist thought or that judgmental thought or that insult. You choose to go down that rabbit trail. No one chooses for you. No one tells you how to respond to things. No one tells you how to feel about things.
Someone's rebuttal to that though would be, and I agree with you. Someone's rebuttal to that though would be, well, you shouldn't have said that.
Why? I'm supposed to know what you. I understand to a certain degree. I wouldn't joke about suicide. Because I know what you've been through when it comes to that. When it comes to that topic, I wouldn't joke about that. That's being careful, like what we talked about earlier. Be careful what you say. I wouldn't joke about that. But back to a social accident, if I would have been like, man, I'd rather kill myself than do that. It's like, okay, you could either say, he really doesn't want to do that, or you could say, I cannot believe he said that after everything I've been through. And I'm sorry, I'm getting kind of deep here, but you choose how you want to, you choose when to be upset. People that have anger issues, I know it's ultimately your choice to feel and to respond and to act.
In that moment, you have a fork in the road.
And you have to choose. Yeah, you're right. There's a fork in the road. You have to choose. Man, it's got my pulse rate up to 365 right now because that really bothers me when people do that. Man, they choose to respond and they choose to act and they choose to get offended. Some things I understand people getting offended at. I understand it, but man, that's like 10-15% of things that people say.
Well, people like you and I aren't out to get anyone.
No.
There's no one worth my time even out to get. I got my wife, I got my friends, and I don't have room to receive or distribute exactly what we're talking about. I don't have time to try and provoke someone to anger or provoke someone because I know that they don't like that subject or something like that, or saying, saying the word moist because people don't like the word moist, and I'm just trying to push their buttons, you know. Oh, I don't like that word. And you know, I've seen some serious people get upset over the stupidest stuff, even words, you know, or double dipping.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
I double dip just as a joke, and if you know, someone has like a fight or flight reflex, like, whoa.
They've already made it up in their minds that if anyone ever did this, or if anyone ever said this, or if anyone ever acted like this, I'm getting upset. I don't like that. And
From now on, this is who I am.
Yeah. No, man. If somebody says something, don't. Man. Seriously. Whoo. I need a chill
You need
pill.
some air blown on you, my guy.
I need a chill pill. Let it go. Let it go.
Ooh, that makes so much sense after talking about that. Let it go. Wow. That's a good one, man. It's a good podcast, dude.
And you know what? Let it go, because guess what? When someone says something that offends you and it makes you mad, and you let it make you mad, who is that affecting? Yourself. And that's it. It's affecting you and only you.
No one else.
No one else.
Well, it has potential to affect other people if you choose to take that effect that you're feeling and distribute it to other people that are close to you. It
Yeah.
has potential to affect loved ones in your life.
But it starts from you. Why would you want to do that to the people around you? Why would you want to take a negative energy that started and originated in your brain and just disperse it out to everyone around you? Why would you want to do that?
This is not to be mistaken for handling your frustrations by venting. This is not to be mistaken by that. This is also not to be mistaken by handling your troubles in life by talking about it, which is what I just said, but also like you're using exercise as a mean to get rid of it, using an academic sport, or using a podcast or something just to get your load off your shoulders or something like that. That's a whole different thing. We're talking about something that will trigger someone and send them into a rage of hatred or anger. And hatred is what that is what racism is. It's something that your anger towards someone, and you don't care if they live or die or get sick or stay healthy. It's a trigger. And that's what we're talking about. It's taking something in your life so simple. It's so simple. So simple if someone says something that makes you mad. That's the most simplest thing I've ever heard. Someone said something that made you mad? That's like when people talk about the news channel said something today that made me so mad. I'm so mad. You're so mad at something someone said? Words hurt. There's no denying that. There's no denying that the sticks and stones may break my bones type of thing. Look, man, it's not going to break your bones, but it's going to break your heart. It's going to break your soul. You know, it's up to you. It's only up to you to let it break you.
It's all about how you respond, man. And I know somebody close to me, and this person's going to know who they are when they listen to this, and I'm okay with that. When they're driving, someone does something or pulls out in front of them, or, whatever, they get really mad. And it's not just for a second. It's like carried on. And that's okay, because this person that's just, they're very expressive. They like to let it out. But at what point do you just let it go?
Yeah.
Because,
and then that's not when it's okay, when you don't let it go.
And my thing is if somebody does say something to you, if something happens, my thing is, are you okay? Are you breathing?
Yeah.
Do you still have are you healthy? Maybe not, some people may not actually be healthy, but are you breathing? Are you alive? Did you wake up this morning? Okay.
Okay.
Let it go.
Yeah. They're not gonna. This is what's crazy, Sai. Someone cut you off. When's the last time you got cut off in traffic? Do you remember? Like
this week for sure. Yeah, it happens all the time.
What was their name?
Don't know.
Okay. It's that simple. I mean, it's so much easier for someone else to tell you something to that equivalent, like to make that much sense. But you could tell yourself that.
Yeah.
You know what? Tomorrow, I'm not even going to remember. When people speed on the interstate, weaving through traffic to get home 3 extra minutes. By the way, if you're driving 80 miles an hour on the interstate, okay, and you have 60 miles to travel, and it takes you an hour to get home, you're saving, 20 minutes or something like that, okay? How long are you going to stay consistent at 80 miles an hour weaving through traffic? You have to slow down, stop, move over, slow down, stop, move over. So now let's say instead of taking an hour, 40 minutes to get home because you were driving 80 miles, but you're driving back and forth, then you cut it down, you're only saving 5-6 minutes. 5 or 6 because you stopped at 2 red lights instead of none.
I've had it happen to me where
it makes no sense.
I've had it. I was in a rush and I'd be driving. I'm late for work or I'm late for an event. I'm driving. Stop at a red light. The guy that I passed up, like,
it pulls up right behind you, man.
Ago, just like, and I'm like,
dude, yeah,
man,
hey,
that sucks.
It's a awakening moment when you realize, look, all this stuff I do in life to try to, like, just, you know, maybe get angry here, get angry there, get in whatever you do, and you're just trying really, really hard. You put all that effort into staying angry or staying upset and just feeding that emotion, and then you pull up to that red light, and the guy who's just having a good old time, man, just enjoying his life, driving the speed limit, obeying the law, he pulls up right behind you. You're in the state of being you're in, and he's in the state of being he is in, and you're both in the same place.
That's deep.
Oh,
man, that was deep. I like that. Context, man.
Context. It's and you know, we all, dude, I suffer from it. You know, everyone does. And I only say these things, and I believe you only say these things, and everyone who's listening, who's thinking to themselves, man, I agree. It's because we've all been there. We all maybe we'll get there again one day, but it's always up to us. It's always up to us to reflect on ourselves and be like, I'm not going to be that guy I was yesterday. Because that guy I was yesterday, I hate that guy. I hate who I was yesterday. And you only hate your worst self. And it's good. Because that means you're that much less likely to become that person again. So,
you know, we all learn from our mistakes, like I said earlier. I didn't say that earlier. I don't think I did. I was thinking it. Maybe I did. Yeah, I don't know.
You might have been thinking
hit on it. But I did. I think everybody learns from their mistakes. And if you could have a video of yourself responding in anger or responding negatively towards something, and just had that video of yourself doing that thing, and then when you calm down, or even when you were still angry, if you went back and watched that video, you'd be like, man,
if you had the temperance to watch it while you were angry,
you'd be like,
dude, you would look like the greatest freak out kid.
Yeah.
You look like the greatest freak out kid, that guy. Run in your room, squash around.
Yeah.
Do something weird with the remote control. Whatever was going on there.
I don't know what that guy was thinking. But
crazy.
Let me tell you something. That remote control, I haven't seen it since.
I haven't seen it either.
So, man, I got heated up just now, man. I got my feels just now about that, and I wasn't angry like we were talking about getting angry over what other people do. By no means was I angry. I just what's the word I'm looking for? I'm passionate about that, and I really disagree with. I think, man, just the peace in the world, and the peace in relationships and friendships and just strangers.
Nothing is more comfortable and more pleasing than a peaceful moment.
Man, how happy! I know it makes me happy when someone smiles at me.
Ooh.
You know, they smile at me and they wave.
I mean, you're talking about when it's a genuine smile.
A genuine smile, like hello, like just in the passing each other up. Somebody waves at you and smiles and nods their head or whatever they do, because people express themselves differently. But you know that person just, man, whatever is going on. I don't care what kind of mood I'm in. I'm like, man, that made me feel better.
Man, I wish I was that happy.
Yeah.
And you know what? Because I just saw that. It's contagious.
Let it happen, man. Let yourself feel better. Get out of that. Get out of your head. And I'm still trying to work on that. I'll get in an upset mood, and I'll be upset about something that I'm just thinking about, and I have to tell myself, like, what just get out of it, man.
Is
Let
it
it
worth?
go.
Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is
Life's
the big
too
question.
short. Life is way too short.
Life is but a vapor, man. It's only here for a little bit. And it just
poof.
Yeah, it just goes away. Well, man, I enjoyed it. This was good.
Yeah.
Thanks for talking to me again. Glad we had some good things to talk about again. And tomorrow I'm going to try to do another one with someone, and we'll try to add some contrast to this thing. And I appreciate everybody listening, and those that are watching. Thanks for watching. I really am enjoying this. Hopefully it can grow. It's going to grow with you guys out there. Just keep it up. Keep listening. Keep watching. And appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. See you guys later.